Ashtavakra says it very clearly. When King Janaka asks him, "What is the truth?" Sage Ashtavakra says, "Know yourself as the pure consciousness, the unaffected witness of the phenomenal world, and you will know the truth." So you see, witnessing is not a personal phenomena. Witnessing is total attention, where things are not seen from a limited perspective, where there is no periphery in attention. So it is total awareness, total attention. So naturally, it is devoid of the subject. So things are simply seen in the light of impersonal awareness. And in that, a realization comes which is very profound. And the realization is that the experiencer and the experience is one. And this is something very difficult for the ego to absorb, because we are so conditioned to action and reaction. So we think that the actions that we do are our actions and the reactions are from us. And that keeps us trapped in the cycle of guilt and shame and pain and suffering and so on. And I'll give you an example. Like what happened with me, this was much before I knew anything about the teaching, or when I was not on the spiritual path. And I was quite an aggressive person. I mean, I come from a Sikh family, so Sikhs are either all loving or they are all. So I was quite an aggressive personality. And one time I had this altercation with a taxi driver. This guy, my wife was on the road, she was seeing off a couple of friends, and this taxi driver comes from behind blowing horn, constantly blowing horns. So immediately I got upset and I just ran towards him and I held him by the collar, and I was just about to throw him out of the taxi. I was about to pull him out from the window. And I would have done that easily because my frame was much bigger than his. So I would have done that easily. But in that moment, something happened. And all of a sudden, the witnessing started happening. So all that feeling of rage was instantly cut off. And I was standing there absolutely dumbfounded. Like there was absolutely no thought in my mind. There was absolutely no feeling in that moment. Yes, I mean, to some extent, I could feel an intensity, but I could not name it. And slowly and quietly, I just moved on to one side. And that taxi guy, he kept blabbering and then he left. But everybody was surprised as to what happened. And what happened was that through grace of the universe, in that moment, the witnessing happened. Total attention happened, where the experiencer became the experience, or experience and experiencer became one. So you see, all that is there is just happening. The problem is that the ego mind takes ownership of the action, of the happenings. So if a feeling comes up, anger, the ego mind says, I am angry. If anxiety comes up, The ego mind says, I am anxious. So, what is supposed to be a momentary thing that becomes a prolonged affliction. So, the moment of rage was there, and it was quite prominent. Like, I do not deny that the rage was not there. No, in that moment, the rage was there, it was complete. But again, as soon as the witnessing happened, any sense of personal ownership of the emotion, that complete energy dissipated. And I was absolutely quiet and standing on the side. I had nothing to say. And it was a very peaceful feeling. I was not upset or angry or anything at all, because all those feelings had subsided. It's actually very difficult to explain this in terms of time, that first this happened, then that happened, because everything seemed to be simultaneous. It felt as if the feeling came up and subsided at the same time. I know it sounds a bit it sounds a bit strange, but there was no sense of time. Only the time produces the notion of a individual doer, a subject. Time which comes up as thought. But in essence, there is no experiencer, and only the experience is there. The happening is there.